last half of the 19th century, many German immigrants came and moved to the St. Louis, Missouri area. They left Germany because of economic reasons and also because of the necessary military service that they would have to do. They decided that they needed some German church in the United States, and they developed the German Evangelical Union of the United States as their denominational name. Evangelical because they had all been part of the Evangelical, or the State Church of Germany, when they left. As the railroad progressed and went north, more people moved north, and there was a necessity for missionaries and pastors. The group that moved to Duluth, Minnesota, a small group that decided they would like a church. They called on this German union, and they sent a young missionary, Louis van Roge, who came up in 1872, and the church was organized at that time. It was organized in one of the members' business establishment, Oswald Saloon. So we have quite a history of beer. Most of the members worked out at Fitger's anyway. But it seems as though a few months later he was taken off of the membership list because he didn't pay his dues. But then he was allowed to come back when he got caught up. And they decided to call it St. Paul's Evangelical Church. First of all, they needed a building. So they were fortunate enough to have a man donate some property at 10th Avenue East and 3rd Street, a Mr. Day. It seemed pretty far out at that time. The streetcar ran as far as 9th Avenue East and Superior Street. Most of the people lived around the downtown area. But they decided to build there, and they did a lot of the work themselves. One of the things that the people wanted was a bell, and just as the churches in the old country had. And as is customary in Peace Church, they went to the top. They wrote to Wilhelm I, first of Prussia, and he sent them a cannon that had been captured during the Franco-Prussian War to be made into the first bell. Well, that bell was displayed in a bank downtown, and the women, as usual, who did all the money making, had sold lemonade and cookies down at the bank to help pay for getting the bell made. In 1893, a pipe organ was installed at a cost of $335. Of course, there was no electricity at that time, and members had to do the pumping by hand. And I believe it's the same organ. Of course, it was electrified later, and I'm sure it was the same organ that was in the church when we left it. During the First World War, there was a lot of feeling against the Germans, and some of the community people came and asked the church if they would take down that bell that had been donated by the Germans, have it melted, and used for ammunition during that First World War. And of course the church said no. And of course, pretty soon came World War II. And there were 49 young men and 1 woman who were in the service, and every one of them came back. 1947 came along, and the decision was made to build a church. And then the ground was broken for the new church. Don Schmidt was very dramatic, and he had horses and plows to go around, and there was an article and several pictures in the Life magazine. The photographers came, and it was quite a big story, nationally even. And that same year in '59, when ground was broken, it was renamed Peace Church. The second bell arrived in the newly opened St. Lawrence Seaway. In a couple years back, Don Schmidt had decided that we should have 3 bells up in the tower instead of the 1. So he wrote to President Eisenhower. As I said, we go to the top. And President Eisenhower sent the bell from the Escala, which had been used in World War I, and sent it aboard one of the naval ships that came up for the opening of the St. Lawrence Seaway. There was a huge celebration at that time. That was a big thing when the St. Lawrence Seaway opened. And so that bell was dedicated down there, and we had a service down in the boat, and it was quite exciting. A 3rd bell was dedicated. The VFW collected scrap metal enough so that was melted down and made into the 3rd bell. One little interesting thing there was it was made over in Verdun, and in order to tune it with the other bells, Harold Paschke and about 3 people got on telephones, and they'd ring the bells, and then they would over there, they'd tuned it by telephone. Electronic age stuff was on it. In 73, peace with the other churches of the area formed the Churches United in Ministry. In 1986, the congregation voted to become a Just Peace Church. And 1997, we celebrated 125 years of witnessing and ministry in the community. And it was a huge celebration. We had a big party at Graceland. It was very, very well done. In 1999, we added a full-time children, youth, and intergenerational ministries director. And I think that's just about up to date. Oh, we did add the elevator.